Alex had seen many things through his drone, but none so terrifying as this. As he flew his drone over the rugged peaks of the Appalachian Mountains, he suddenly saw something he almost couldn't believe. Alex couldn't believe his eyes as he looked at the monitor in his hands. His drone hovered above a small mountain and captured something he had never seen before. Alex slowly zoomed in, but he couldn't figure out what he was looking at. So, there was only one thing left to do. He had to see it with his own eyes. He let the drone hover in the same place and began to hike in its direction. He could hear the silent zooming sound of his drone in the distance, even though it was out of sight. It was obvious that no one had been here in a while, even though the Appalachians were a popular hiking spot. When he started his hike, it had been late in the morning. He had figured it wouldn't take him more than 2 hours to walk up to the top of the mountain. But now that he was actually on his way, he realized he had made a bit of a mistake. The mountain was higher than he had anticipated, and he had no water or food with him. The hike was slowly taking its toll on him, and he was actually considering turning around and going back. But just as he wanted to retrieve his drone, he realized he hadn't paid enough attention to it. His stomach dropped as he realized the drone's battery was at 1%. Alex quickly pressed the retrieve button, but it was already too late. The screen turned black, and Alex heard his drone crash into the rocks in the distance. The sound of the drone's crash echoed off the mountains, reflecting the eerie reality of how alone he was. Knowing he couldn't leave without his drone, Alex had to move forward. He gave himself a quick pep talk and continued with his hike. He pushed himself to the maximum of his capability. But as soon as he arrived at the top of the mountain, his stomach dropped. He saw a great white expanse of snow, but not his drone or the things he had seen on his screen. As he scanned his surroundings, he suddenly saw his drone a little way down a cliff, stuck between a couple of rocks. He decided to climb down, even though he knew it was a very stupid idea. Who would risk his life for a drone? He quickly walked to the edge of the mountain, his heart beating in his chest. If he were to slip and fall, it would mean his death. Alex took his first step down the cliff with great care. The path was steep and filled with hidden dangers. Alex's foot suddenly slipped on a loose stone, causing his heart to leap into his throat. He steadied himself quickly, but the scare made him extra cautious. While hanging from the rock, doubts began to creep into Alex's mind. He questioned whether retrieving his drone was worth the risk. Alex could see his drone just a few meters away, almost within reach. He carefully moved across the last few meters of the rocky cliff. When Alex finally reached his drone, a wave of victory washed over him. He picked it up with hands that trembled slightly, not just from the cold, but from the adrenaline. Holding the drone, he felt a mix of triumph and the sobering thought of his climb back. The journey down was tough, but going back up, especially with the drone, promised to be even more challenging. As Alex neared the top, his spirits began to rise. The thought of reaching solid ground and the safety it promised gave him a new burst of energy. Alex reached the summit and took a moment to catch his breath. He looked around, taking in the stunning view that stretched out before him. After a few moments of rest, Alex noticed something unusual in the distance. Mysterious objects scattered across the landscape sparked his curiosity anew. The exhaustion and fear from his climb faded, replaced by a sense of adventure. This unexpected sight pulled at him, urging him to explore what these strange objects could be. As Alex got closer to the objects, his excitement built. Details that were once obscured by distance began to emerge. Finally, standing before the covered shapes, Alex felt a surge of intrigue. The objects were clearly covered for a reason, suggesting they were not meant to be found. As he reached out to uncover the first shape, he stood on the brink of discovery. What secrets would these mysterious objects reveal? Alex pulled back the covering on the first object, revealing something completely unexpected. It wasn't natural at all, but made by humans, looking out of place against the wild backdrop of the mountains. Just as Alex was piecing together the puzzle, the quiet of the mountain was shattered by the sound of engines growing closer. The unexpected sound signaled that he wasn't alone, introducing a new threat to the already mysterious situation. Realizing the seriousness of the situation, Alex quickly looked for a place to hide. The approaching sounds meant that people were coming, and he wasn't sure if they were friend or foe. Two men soon appeared, moving with a purpose that suggested they were no ordinary hikers. Their quick, deliberate actions and the way they scanned the area made it clear they were here for the crates. Alex watched from his hiding spot, his heart pounding. The men's presence and their focused search hinted at something illegal or dangerous connected to the mysterious crates. From his concealed position, Alex observed the men handling the crates with a familiarity that suggested they knew exactly what they were looking for. After what felt like an eternity, the men finished their business with the crates and left as quickly as they had arrived. Their departure marked the end of an immediate threat, but it left Alex with a deeper sense of unease about what he had stumbled upon. After a moment of hesitation, Alex's curiosity won over his fear. He couldn't leave with so many questions unanswered. Knowing the risks, he decided to go back to the crates for a closer look. As Alex approached the crates again, he felt the weight of his decision. The danger of the men coming back was real, and he knew he had to be quick. He was determined to find out what was so important about these crates. Moving closer to the crates for the second time, Alex felt the thrill of the unknown. The mystery of what they contained and what that meant drove him. As Alex lifted the tarp, what he found inside took his breath away. It wasn't what he expected at all. Instead of inanimate objects or contraband, he found endangered animals, like the red wolf, trapped and scared. This discovery changed everything. It wasn't just about curiosity anymore, it was about a crime against nature. Alex knew he had to act, and fast. Alex didn't waste any time. He pulled out his phone and dialed the authorities, explaining what he had found. His voice was steady, but inside he was a mix of anger and concern for the animals. After making the call, Alex stayed by the crates, watching over the animals. He wanted to make sure they were safe until help arrived. This responsibility added a new layer to his character, transforming him from an ordinary hiker into a protector of the natural world. In the quiet moments before help arrived, Alex reflected on his journey. What started as a quest to capture the beauty of nature with his drone had turned into a crucial conservation effort. Just as Alex was caught up in his thoughts, the sound of engines disrupted the silence again. The men were coming back, and the danger was now real and close. Alex's heart raced as he realized the confrontation he had hoped to avoid was about to happen. The return of the men meant he had to act fast to protect the animals and himself from being discovered. Alex quickly looked for a place to hide, knowing he had to stay out of sight to protect the animals. Hidden, Alex watched the men approach, hoping the authorities would arrive in time. He checked his phone, but there was no signal to update him on their arrival. The tension was unbearable, knowing that getting caught could ruin everything he had worked for. Suddenly, one of the men spotted movement near the crates, and the chase was on. Alex used his knowledge of the terrain to his advantage, dodging between trees and rocks, leading the men away from the animals. His heart pounded as he ran, fueled by adrenaline and the desperate hope of escape. It was a high-stakes game of cat and mouse, with Alex's freedom on the line. Just when Alex thought he couldn't run any longer, the sound of a helicopter broke through the noise. It was the authorities, arriving just in time. The helicopter landed between Alex and the men, providing the rescue he had been hoping for. The men were quickly apprehended, and Alex was safe at last. The relief was overwhelming as he realized the animals would be safe and the villains caught, thanks to his actions and a timely rescue. After the rescue, word of Alex's bravery spread quickly. People hailed him as a hero, praising his courage and quick thinking. Alex felt a mix of pride and humility, grateful for the outcome. Soon, Alex's story was everywhere, drawing attention from conservationists and the public. He received messages of thanks and admiration, highlighting the impact of his actions. The experience taught him the importance of standing up for what's right and the impact one person can have. Alex felt a renewed sense of purpose, understanding that bravery isn't just about facing danger but also about making a difference where it counts. The entire ordeal transformed Alex. Before, he had been an avid hiker and drone enthusiast, but now he saw himself as a protector of nature. As Alex looked back on his unexpected journey, he felt hopeful about the future. The adventure had ended, but it marked the beginning of a new chapter in his life. The story concludes with Alex more determined than ever to contribute to the world, one step at a time.